every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot.
But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not.
The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now don't ask me why. No one quite knows the reason.
It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right.
It could be perhaps his shoes were too tight.
But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos.
Staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town.
For he knew every who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath.
And they're hanging their stockings.
He snarled with a sneer.
Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here.
Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming.
Must find a way to stop Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow, he knew.
Girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then...
Oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, noise, noise.
That's one thing he hated.
The noise!
Noise!
Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast.
And they'd feast.
And we feast.
And they'd feast.
Feast.
Feast! They'd feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast.
Which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
And then they do something he'd like least of all.
Every who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand.
And the Whos would start singing.
They'd sing.
And they'd sing.
And they sing.
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 Sing!
And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing,
The more the Grinch thought,
I must stop this whole thing. For 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how?
Then he got an idea.
An awful idea.
The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do.
the Grinch laughed in his throat.
And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat.
And he chuckled and clucked.
What a great Grinchy trick with my coat and a hat. I look just like St. Nick. Now all I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found.
Did that stop the old Grinch?
Nope. Nope.
The Grinch simply said,
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one.
So he called his dog Max.
He took some red thread and tied a big horn to his head.
Then he loaded some bags.
And some old empty sacks.
Ramshackle sleigh.
And he hitched up old Max.
Then the Grinch said,
And the sleighs started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town.
All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air.
All the Whos were dreaming sweet dreams without care.
When he came to the first little house on the square,
This must be stop number 1.
The old Grinchy Claus hissed.
And he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist.
He slid down the chimney, a rather tight pin.
But if Santa could do it,
then so could the Grinch.
He got stuck only once for a moment or two.
Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where all the Who stockings hung in a row.
These stockings
He grinned.
will be the first to go.
Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant,
around the whole room, and he took every present.
Pop guns.
And bicycles.
Roller skates.
Drums.
Checkerboards.
Tricycles.
Popcorn.
And plums.
He stuffed them in bags.
Then the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed the bags one by one up the chimney.
Slunk to the icebox.
He took the Who's feast.
He took the Who pudding.
he took the roast beef.
He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash.
Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash.
And he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee.
And now, stuff up the tree.
And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove.
When he heard the small sound, like a coo of a dove.
Little Cindy Lou Who, who was not more than 2.
the Grinch had been caught by the tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed to get a cup of cold water.
She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus? Why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie.
He thought it up quick.
Santa Claus lied.
There's a light on one side that won't light up, so I'm going to take it to my workshop, my dear. Once I fix it up there, I'll bring it back here.
And his fib fooled the child.
Then he patted her head and got her a drink and sent her to bed.
And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up.
Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire.
Then he went up the chimney himself, that old liar.
On their walls, he left nothing but hooks and some wire.
And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse.
Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses,
leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses.
It was 1:15 dawn.
All the Who's still abed.
All the Who's still a snooze.
When he packed up his sled,
Packed it up with their presents.
The ribbons.
The wrappings.
The tags.
And the tinsel.
The trimmings.
The trappings.
3,000 feet up.
Up the side of Mount Crumpet.
He rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it.
Pooh-pooh to the Who's!
He was Grinchishly humming.
They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. And I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all boo too. That's a noise
Grinned
that
the
I
Grinch.
simply must hear.
He paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. He did hear a sound over the rising snow.
It started in low.
Then it started to grow.
But the sound wasn't sad.
Why, this sound sounded merry.
And it couldn't be so!
But it was merry.
Very!
He stared down at Whoville.
The Grinch popped his eyes.
And he shook.
What he saw was a shocking surprise.
Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, started singing.
Without any presents at all.
He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came.
Somehow or other, it came just the same.
And the Grinch with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow.
Puzzling and puzzling.
How could this be so? It comes without ribbons, it comes without tags, it comes without packages, boxes, and bags.
And he puzzled 3 hours until his puzzler was sore.
Maybe Christmas,
He thought.
doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas means a little bit more.
Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
And what? So they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light.
And he brought back the toys.
And the food for the feast.
And he
himself.
The Grinch carved the roast beef.
Are we gonna sing?
Yep.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Kick them out!